Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're gonna check out a real life survival story, and I gotta say this one's way more intense than like any Hollywood thriller I've seen.
Oh, yeah.
You sent over this Malayalam YouTube video. It's about the events behind the Indian film Manjumel Boys,
Really?
and wow, it's got everything. Like a super dangerous cave, a fall that should have been fatal, and like a crazy rescue attempt.
It's just incredible. This story, it really grabs you. Shows you how tough people can be, and it shows like how strong friendship can be.
For sure.
But what really gets me is the location. It's all wrapped up in these myths and mysteries, and then this real life thing happens. Like myth and reality and movies all smashing together. It really makes you think.
Okay, so let's like set the scene. It's 2006. We're in Kerala, India.
Yeah.
And there's this group of young guys from Manjumala. They decide to take a road trip to Kodaikanal. It's this super popular hill station, known for its landscapes, really beautiful.
Yeah, stunning scenery. And right in the middle of all this beauty, there's this one spot that just sticks out. Guna Cave. It got famous from this 1992 Tamil film, Guna. But locally, people call it Devil's Kitchen. Creepy name, right? Well, it got that name way back in 1821. Some explorer went in there. Must have been pretty freaked out by it, Because it's not your typical cave. And it's dark, so dark.
Devil's Kitchen? I mean, just the name gives me the chills.
Right.
So you're saying it's not your typical cave. What do you mean?
Well, most caves, you think tunnel, right? You go in, you walk through. This one, it's different. It's a vertical shaft, like a pit going straight down.
Oh, wow.
That's where the danger comes in.
Yeah.
It's like this deep, dark hole in the ground. You could have loose rocks, hidden ledges, who knows what else down there.
Yeah.
It's a recipe for disaster, really. And the stories you hear about this cave, the local legends, they don't make it sound any better. Lots of people, they say, have fallen in and never ever come back out.
The video even says there's this belief that no one who falls in ever survives. It's like the cave itself is a character in this story, all mysterious and ominous.
Definitely. There's this sense of dread hanging over the whole thing. Makes you wonder, why would anyone even go near this place, let alone go inside? I mean, was it just youthful curiosity? Or maybe they wanted to prove something? Or maybe something deeper, Like, were they drawn to the unknown?
That's a good question. It's like we're always curious about things that are dangerous, right? That's kind of how we are as humans. Like, we're drawn to the things we're told to stay away from.
Yeah, definitely.
So these friends, they go into this infamous cave. And you probably guessed it, but things go south really fast.
Yeah, it's bad. One of the young guys, Suhash, he loses his footing and just plummets into the darkness. Imagine you're there with your friends, and suddenly one of them just vanishes.
Right.
Gone. And all you hear is that echoing silence. Must have been terrifying.
Yeah, that would stop my heart for sure. You're in this pitch black cave, and your friend just disappears into thin air. What did they do? Did they try to, go after him?
Well, their first thought is to get help. They rush out of there, find the authorities, the police, but no one believes them.
Really?
Yeah, it's like the police just couldn't wrap their heads around what these guys were saying. Too crazy to believe, I guess.
Man, they must have been desperate. Their friend is missing, maybe hurt, maybe worse. They're trying to get help, but no one's taking them seriously. Awful.
Yeah, it's like adding insult to injury. But they finally managed to get a rescue team together. But you, the rescue team, they come, they look at the cave, and they say it's hopeless. They basically tell the friends to give up. There's no way Suhash could have survived a fall like that.
So they're telling his friends to just accept that he's gone. After all that, I can't even imagine.
Devastating, right? But here's the thing. Subhash's friends, they refuse to accept it. They won't give up on him. One of them, Siju, he decides he's going in after Suhash himself.
What? Are you serious? Into that cave after the rescue team said it was impossible. That's incredible.
It is. Talk about courage. Siju, he's looking straight into the face of fear, literally putting his own life on the line, just for a chance, even a tiny chance, to save his friend.
And remember, we're not talking about just any cave here. This is Devil's Kitchen, a place where legends say you go in, you don't come out. It's like Siju's taking on fate itself.
It really is. And he's doing it after the pros have said it's a lost cause. He's a symbol of hope, in the face of total despair, that never give up attitude. It's powerful stuff.
Wow. So does he find him? Does Siju actually find Subhash? Tell me he does.
He does. He actually finds him. It's amazing. Siju finds Subhash alive, holding on somehow on this ledge, hundreds of meters down. It makes you think, how is that even possible? It's like defying logic, defying the odds.
I can only imagine what Siju must have felt at that moment. Relief, shock, disbelief. I mean, finding his friend alive after that fall in that cave where supposedly no one survives, it's like something out of a movie, but better.
It is. It's totally like a movie. But it's real. It just shows you hope never dies. And that connection between friends, it's strong, really strong. But that's not even the end of the story. The rescue itself, that was a huge deal too.
Oh yeah, the video doesn't give us all the details, but I'm so curious. How do you even begin to get someone out of a situation like that? Is a vertical cave hundreds of meters deep and pitch black? Must have been a nightmare.
It must have been. Those rescue guys, they knew their stuff. Think about it. They had to go down that shaft, get ropes and harnesses all set up in the dark in a tight space. Man, those guys are the real deal.
And the pressure, knowing that one slip-up could be it for Subhash for themselves, can't even imagine.
No, it's intense. Physically, mentally, the whole thing. Every second counts. Adrenaline pumping, trying to get everyone out alive.
Jose, do it. They get Subhash out. The video says this was the first time ever that someone survived a fall into Devil's Kitchen.
Crazy, right? Almost like Siju's courage. It didn't just save his friend. It broke the curse on this place, you know? That's a good way to put it. It's like Siju rewrote the story of this cave. It wasn't a place of death anymore. It was a place of survival, a place where the impossible happened.
Yeah. Like, even in this place with all these scary legends, humans can still make a difference. Change the ending, you know?
For sure. And it makes you think about all these places we think are dangerous, off limits. We build these stories around them, myths, legends. They shape how we see those places.
Right. And speaking of stories, the video mentions that there are a bunch of different reasons why the cave's called Devil's Kitchen. It's not just because it looks scary, right?
Oh, no, it goes deeper than that. One theory, it connects the cave to the Pandavas. They're these heroes from this Hindu epic, the Mahabharata. The legend says when the Pandavas were in exile, they hid out in this cave. And guess what? They cooked their meals there. So people started calling it Devil's Kitchen.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So you've got this ancient myth, a famous movie, and now this real-life survival story all connected to this one place.
It's amazing how it all comes together. The Pandavas, they represent strength, surviving against the odds. Then you have the film Guna. It's all about obsession, the dark side of people. And then this true story, people surviving when everyone thought they couldn't. It's like this cave shows us all these different sides of what it means to be human. Makes you wonder how many other stories are out there, hidden in places like this, just waiting to be discovered.
I know, right? And that's what makes this deep dive so cool. We start with this one video, and it takes us to all these different places, so many layers to this story.
It's true. It's like peeling back the layers of an onion. And this story, it doesn't even end with the rescue. Remember, the video said that the group of friends, Subhash, Siju, all of them, they didn't talk about what happened, not for years. Why do you think that is? I mean, they went through something unbelievable. Why keep it quiet?
That's interesting. Maybe it was just too much, you know? Too painful to talk about. Maybe they just wanted to forget it ever happened. Or maybe they felt like it was disrespectful to the cave to talk about it, you know? Like it was this sacred, powerful place.
Yeah, you're probably right. Trauma, it affects everyone differently. And some people, they just need to keep it private, to heal, to move on. It shows there's more to the story than what we see, feelings and reasons we might never fully understand.
And then there's the film Manjumal Boys, the one based on all this. The video doesn't say a lot about it, but it makes me wonder, how did the filmmakers approach this story? It's real, it's emotional, it's intense. How do you make a movie out of something like that?
It's a tough question. Adapting a real story, especially one like this, it's a big responsibility. You got to make it interesting for the audience, but you got to be respectful too, to the people who actually went through it.
Exactly. It takes us beyond just the story itself. It's about art and ethics and how to balance those things.
It really does. Makes you think about who has the power, The filmmakers, they want to tell a story their way, but then you have the real people. Their memories, their feelings are part of this story. It's complicated.
The video mentions that maybe we'll get more info from interviews or behind-the-scenes stuff about the film. I'd love to hear from Siju, What was it like for him seeing his story, his act of heroism up on the big screen? Did it bring back all those feelings?
That's a good question. Did he feel that fear again? Or was it different now after all these years? Maybe he could watch it and be like, wow, look what I did. But also know that the movie is just that, a movie, not exactly real life.
Right. And I wonder how they'll show the group's decision to stay quiet in the film. Was it like a plan to avoid attention? Or was it more like they just couldn't deal with talking about it, Like it was too hard emotionally.
Those are some good points. And maybe the film can go deeper, Show us not just the survival part, but how it affected them inside, emotionally.
Yeah.
That stuff stays with you.
And then there's the cave itself, Devil's Kitchen. I wonder if they'll make it look as scary in the movie as it sounds in real life. The darkness, the feeling of being trapped.
Oh, for sure. They could do that with cameras, lighting, sound.
Yeah.
Make it feel real, like you're right there with them, deep down in that cave. That'd be so cool.
And the rescue, imagine that scene trying to pull Subhash out of that hole. It could be so intense on screen.
But that's where it gets tricky for the filmmakers, right? How do you make it exciting, dramatic, without being disrespectful to the people who lived through it? It's a tough line to walk.
You're right. It's a good point. We can't forget that this is a movie, yeah, but it comes from a real place. Real people went through this. The filmmakers, they got to be careful with that.
They do. But beyond all that, the visuals, the action, I hope the film gets to the heart of the story. The friendship, the loyalty, Siju risking it all for his friend, and how strong people can be when things get really tough. That's what makes this story special.
Yeah, totally agree. It's those things, those deeper meanings that make a story more than just a story. It's about us, about being human.
And you never know, maybe the film will give us even more answers about the real story, you know?
Yeah.
Help us understand why they stayed quiet, what choices they made, how it changed their lives.
It's like we're at the end of one journey, but another one's just beginning. The film's a whole new way to look at these events, a different perspective.
Exactly. It's so cool how we started with this one video, and look where we ended up. Ancient myths, the dangerous caves, a movie, it all connects. And that's what the deep dive's all about. Starting with one thing and seeing where it takes us. It's about exploring, asking questions, learning new stuff.
For sure. And this story, it's not just facts and dates. It's about courage, survival, hope. Those things matter.
They do. So much. And for anyone listening, if this story grabs you, there's so much more to find out there. Articles, documentaries, even stuff about caving and rescues. The possibilities are endless.
That's what I love about the deep dive. We start with a question, a little bit of curiosity, and it opens up a whole world of knowledge. And it doesn't have to end here.
Nope, it's just the beginning. We went from a simple video to myths, to Devil's Kitchen, to the movies. And now we're leaving you, our listeners, with this amazing story. A story about what humans can do, about never giving up hope.
So well said. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep diving deep. We'll be back with more amazing stories, ready to uncover all those hidden gems of knowledge out there. Until then, stay curious. So, we dove deep into Devil's Kitchen, heard about this crazy rescue, and learned about all the myths and legends around Guna Cave. But now, let's switch gears a bit. Let's talk about Mandramel Boys, the movie they made about all this.
Right, right. It's pretty wild, isn't it? They took this real-life event, this super intense experience, and turned it into a film. I mean, movies, they can really get you feeling things, you know, like you're right there in the story.
Yeah, for sure. But we talked about this before. There's a tricky part, right? When you're making a movie about something real, something this intense, you got to get it right. You want to tell a good story, but you got to be respectful, too, to the people who actually lived it.
Absolutely. And remember, the video said, those guys, they stayed quiet about it all for years. Makes you wonder if the filmmakers talked to them, you know, got their take on things. Like, how did they feel about having their story become a movie?
That would be so interesting to hear, right? Like, did they think the movie did a good job? Did they feel weird about it? It's their life, you know? It's a lot to have that out there for everyone to see.
It is, and it makes you think, who's really in control here? You've got the filmmakers, they have their ideas about how to tell the story, but then you have the real guys, and their memories and emotions are part of it too. It's a tricky situation, for sure.
Yeah, totally. The video mentioned that maybe there'd be interviews or like behind the scenes stuff with the film. I'd love to hear Siju's thoughts, especially like what was it like for him seeing himself, his whole rescue thing playing out on the big screen? Did it bring back all those scary feelings?
Right, like did he get flashbacks? Or maybe after all this time, it's different for him. Maybe he could watch it and be proud, you know, like, look what I did, but also realize it's just a movie, not exactly how it all went down.
You know what else I'm curious about? How they'll show the group's decision to keep quiet in the movie. Was it like a plan? Did they make a pact to not say anything to avoid attention? Or was it more about them just not being ready to deal with it all? Like emotionally, it was just too much.
Those are some really good points. And, you know, maybe the film can go even deeper than just the rescue.
Yeah.
Show us how it all affected them, you know, on the inside. That kind of experience, it can mess you up.
For sure. And what about the cave itself? Devil's Kitchen. I bet they can make it look super creepy in the movie, all dark and claustrophobic, like you said, with the cameras and sounds and stuff, make you feel like you're really down there.
Oh, totally. They can make it so real. And the rescue scene? Think about that. Imagine how intense that would be on screen,
Mm.
trying to get Sue Hash out of that hole. That's got to be edge of your seat stuff.
But that's where it gets tough for the filmmakers again, right? How do you make it exciting, make it a good movie without going too far? They got to be sensitive to the real people. It can't just be about entertainment.
Yeah, it's a fine line to walk. We got to remember, this is a movie, but it comes from a real place. Real people went through this crazy experience.
Hmm.
The filmmakers, they can't forget that.
Exactly. But beyond all the special effects and stuff, I hope they get the important parts right. The
Yeah,
heart of the story, the friendship between those guys, how Siju risked everything for his friend, and how they were all so strong even when things looked impossible. That's what makes the story so powerful.
couldn't have said it better myself. It's not just about the events. It's about what it all means, about being human and how we deal with tough situations.
Right. It's about the things that matter, the stuff that stays with you. So yeah, our deep dive into this story is wrapping up, but it doesn't have to end here. This film, it's like a whole new chapter, a different way to look at everything we talked about.
Totally. It's so amazing how we started with that one video and look where we ended up. Ancient myths, a dangerous cave, a rescue mission, and now a movie. It's all connected. And that, my friends, is what the deep dive is all about. Starting with a question, a little bit of curiosity, and seeing where it takes us. It's about exploring, asking questions, learning new things, and we can keep learning. If this story got to you, there's so much more out there to discover. Articles, documentaries, you can even learn about caving and rescues. The possibilities are endless.
That's so true. This one story, it opened up this whole world of stuff to explore. It's like that with everything. You just got to start digging, and who knows what you'll find.
And that's what we're all about here, taking you on these journeys of knowledge, from a simple video to myths, to a scary cave, to a film. And now we leave you with this incredible story, a story about the strength of the human spirit, about never giving up hope.
Amazingly said. So to everyone listening, keep exploring, keep asking those questions, keep diving deep. We'll be back with more stories ready to uncover more hidden knowledge with you. Until then, stay curious.